On the next episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes.
Today's episode is a share and smoke episode where each host has selected a cigar for everyone else to try. Here's what we're going to be discussing today. We have 4 cigars that we're going to get to go over. The Rocky Patel Vintage 2003 Cameroon.
Got that one.
Yeah.
That's good. Let's
Yeah,
get it.
there we go.
Nailed it.
My Father, Le BiJou, 1922.
Better.
Oh, I
mean, if you want to go really technical, Le BiJou.
Yeah, see, I knew I screwed it up. The Illusione Epernay.
It's close.
That was pretty good.
That was not bad for a good French accent. And Espanol Punch Gran Puro.
Gran Puro.
Well, I was close, but I'm still going to buzz myself. Yeah, there we go.
We'll be right back after this break. Brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Hey man, got a light? It's time for Smokes.
Hey, welcome to this Smokes episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. We are the best thing on at 2 a.m. It's a 1-hour show that's mildly entertaining for 21 and a half minutes. You think that's the mark we're aiming for today?
Oh, we could do much better than that.
Probably 18 minutes in a cuddle.
I'm just saying.
I like that. 18 minutes in a cuddle. I think that is a very good target. I think we can hit that today. Well, this is good old boy Mike, and joining me here at the table is good old boy Barger.
Hello.
Good old boy Justin.
Good morning.
And good old boy Drew.
Good evening.
Well, our smoke segments are all about cigars and, well, anything that's smoked. Here's what we're going to be discussing today. We have 4 cigars that we're going to get to go over. I'm going to read these and mispronounce each one of these, and everyone is going to correct me.
No.
I can guarantee it. The Rocky Patel Vintage 2003 Cameroon.
Got that one.
Yeah.
That's good. Let's get it.
There we go.
Nailed it.
My Father, Le BiJou, 1922.
Better.
Oh, I
mean, if you want to go really technical, Le BiJou.
Yeah, see, I knew I screwed it up. The Illusione Epernay.
It's close.
That was pretty good.
That was not bad for a good French accent. And Espanol Punch Gran Puro.
Gran Puro.
Well, I was close, but I'm still going to buzz myself. Yeah, there we go. Well, today's episode is a share and smoke episode where each host has selected a cigar for everyone else to try. All right. So listen, during all of our creative production process, which really involves large quantities of alcohol, we started to call this series the Shared Stick series. Yeah. So that did not go so well, and things started to take a turn for the creative elements that, frankly, you just don't want to go in that direction for a radio show. So
no.
Then we started to call it a stick swap.
But then we looked that up online.
Yeah, and there were some photos, frankly, that I just never even knew existed on the internet.
Don't Google that, kids.
Yeah, don't do that.
Go ahead. Google that.
So this is called Share and Smoke. All right. So there is no personal lube that's required for this activity, although Barger has expressed that he prefers pina colada as his flavored lube of choice. There we go. Yeah. Everybody should have that probably on the back of their driver's license, just to help other people around them if they're in emergency need to know. I want to smell like pina colada at the end of this experience. Yes.
That's a whole different meaning to the classic song about, two pina coladas, one for each hand.
Yeah, right. Well, there's a certain rhythm to that song that really helps.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not going to get out of this all. Listen, this is a great way to enjoy cigars that maybe, wouldn't probably pick for yourself. And I would say that all of us would say, I don't think that I probably would have picked some of the cigars that, each of you picked on my own. So I thought it was really great. All right. So listen, if you are a cigar newbie, fret not. We have you covered on our Cigar 101 episode, where all of this cigar speak that we're going to go through today has been decoded. Just search for Sips, Suds, Cigars 101, and boom, that episode should pop right up. And you can follow the link that's on our show notes as well. Today, we're going to add a little bit, to that discussion as we get into Ascuro wrappers, which I'm looking forward to that. All things dark and seedy. Cue the Boris Karloff, music and organs in the background that I apparently couldn't look up. Hey, it's our production budget. What can I say? But, of all things dark and seedy, kind of like the other attorney on our today's show. Speaking of which, Justin gets the honors of going over our smokes rating for today. So I want you to try and channel your inner cigar nerd that just won't shut up about cigars as you go over our smokes ratings for today. Take it away, Justin.
Oh my God, we're going to be smoking and discussing these cigars and rating them with our Sips, Suds, and Smokes smoke ratings, plus our signature sounds. Here are those ratings now. 1. This sucked before it was even lit. 2 rings. Do you really have to light this 3 times? 3 rings. Very nice. Now just go away so I can enjoy this.
Thank you, Justin. Now that you probably have acquired this new skill of being dark and seedy, where do you put that on your resume? Do you put that at the top? Do you put that on the bottom? Do you put it in bold type right in the middle?
Right at the top, bold, underlined, 18-point font.
I see. Yes. So
Times New Roman.
do you think you can use this to double your retainer fee as well, Justin?
Already happened.
I knew that was the case even before I'd asked. I'm not really quite sure why, but I knew that if there was a will, there was going to be a way that you would get that love and feeling right up front. Speaking of which, Drew's going to introduce our first cigar for today, which is the Rocky Patel.
All right. So, yes, we have the vintage 2003 Rocky Patel Cameroon. And from Rocky Patel, they call it a rising star in their vintage series. It features a Cameroon wrapper with Dominican and Nicaraguan fillers and a Nicaraguan binder. They also go on that it delivers a medium-bodied smoking experience, and they call it a perfect cigar for any time of day. I first was introduced to this cigar around the time of, I think, my 10-year high school reunion. We graduated in 2003, so I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to buy this cigar and take it, and I really loved it. I generally smoke it in Robusto, as I generally smoke most cigars in Robusto, because anything longer, it just tends to take too long. I also really, really like generally Nicaraguan wrapper, binder, filler. Just give me all the Nicaraguans. Don't make that something dirty, Mike. I can see the wheels turning already.
I was gesturing towards the soundboard going, there is a moment here, that could apply, but, I didn't. But
Well, isn't that special?
Thank you for making that relatively gentle.
Yes.
Unlike, unfortunately, the cigar, I will say that the first third of it, I lit it up. It was delicious. Everything that I remembered. Sorry, 1 point. We smoked it in, I believe, a Churchill size. It was a little bit larger.
It was Toro.
Toro.
Yeah.
My
These are
apologies.
Toros, yeah.
A little bit longer than what I normally go with. And first third, it was very enjoyable. What I remembered as I got to the middle, the beginning of the middle third, it really got a little more difficult to draw, which Mike had warned me about. So I actually cut it with a traditional guillotine cutter instead of my usual notch, and that didn't make a difference. Back of the middle third, I got this strange wood glue kind of taste, which is not something I typically look for in a cigar. I don't know about the rest of y'all.
It's a bit sticky, right?
Yeah. I mean, and not just the draw, but let's just say that I have a couple of the Robustos sitting in my humidor at home, and I'm going to have to go back and smoke and make sure that I just wasn't looking at it through rose-colored lenses.
Maybe they swapped the cigar glue for Elmer's at the time.
Yeah, that would you would definitely notice a difference between those two. Barger, what did you think of the Rocky Patel?
I did not like it. I struggled with the flavor. It was very bland to me. Like off the light, it had potential, but the more I smoked down, it just got bland, and the flavor kind of pushed itself out, and it was just like smoking paper.
Justin, what do you think of the Rocky Patel?
This sticks a lot like a dark and seedy lawyer promises a ton up front and then fails to execute.
That was. I love that. He's combined function and form in a cigar room.
Is there a malpractice suit here?
There's not yet, but
Definitely,
there could be. Yeah,
definitely.
a libel suit.
Class action.
Yeah, right.
We'll all get our $10 back.
Right. And I'll get millions.
So I had a funny story when I was about this cigar. So I was in my office and I was dialing around for to find these cigars in stock. I wasn't able to get them directly from Rocky Patel in advance, so I was having to call around to retailers to ask them if they had this, and so my lovely wife was hearing me dial around, and then I found a store and I'm asking for this, and I'd come down later and she said, "Wow," she said, "you guys are going to smoke a cigar that's aged from 2003." And I started laughing and I was like, all right, so that not quite the same thing, babe. Yes, I mean, cigars are aged, but usually, the way things go with a vintage product like this is they're keeping this in bundles and loose bundles, and actually combining the wrappers and the fillers, probably months before it shows up in the box. But I was laughing. I'm like, no, we're not going to smoke, 15-year-old cigars, at least this one wasn't.
I have smoked older cigars.
Yeah. When we have one, in another episode, we're going to go through where they probably have a similar process.
Nice.
So, well, I'll finish telling you guys the rest of the story after we come back from break, as well as talk about our topic for everything good in life that is worth discussing that I think we'll be able to get to today. Do you know that body part that you don't need?
I have an idea.
We'll be right back after this break. Hey, welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. On today's Smokes episode, we're going over a share and smoke episode. See, I said it correct the first time. As opposed to saying this is a stick share, which is definitely not a good thing to say. We are going over 4 cigars that we have each shared with each other. And we were going through our first one, which was the Rocky Patel Vintage 2003. I was sharing this story, about my wife kind of, she had overheard, part of the conversation. So how does, when somebody has a vintage product like this, like I know that there are some age stated cigars, more like, it's been aged, 12 years or 15 years, do they, there's no way that they pull enough of the product off in one crop where they literally can be able to hold that in their product line for, 15, 20 years as well.
Well, there's always the old Partagas 150 story where, this was shoved to the back of a warehouse and lost.
Kind of like the lost cask.
right? Or the Orphan Barrel.
Orphan Barrel
God,
series is so that's the Orphan Barrel series of in the cigar world.
There's so many barrels without children.
Yes, I know.
For only $2 a day, you too can adopt a barrel.
The IRS wants their piece.
I just thought that was funny. So my thoughts about the cigar. This was a Toro size. Some of my own notes around it. Easy light, easy draw.
Yeah.
Off this, I picked up some sweet wood, leather, some cocoa nibs. I thought that was kind of the one thing that was a little interesting.
I definitely didn't find those.
It started to turn early. I hate that, you know. And in this particular case, I think I just got it a little overheated. So I don't know if it was a cigar or if it was me having a bit harder draw or, kind of rushing along because, I definitely had to, I was late getting somewhere where I was trying to finish the cigar before it. So I can definitely see it. I may have been at fault for making it turn a lot faster.
Lawyers don't run late.
Yeah.
We just get continuances.
I did let it sit and I heard that.
Somebody trademark that, please.
But I tried to shorten up my draw, but it still, was spicy and I just kind of lost all that complex flavor. So, it was almost like a completely different stick on the last third than it was on the front third.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, for sure. Well, our smokes rating here for the Rocky Patel Vintage 2003 is going to be a 2. Next up, Barger is going to go over the Illusione that he has suggested for all of us.
So this was the Illusione Epernay, the Le Trial, I think. Is that right?
I'm going to say, yeah, that's close enough.
I'm getting a head nod over here. What is it? Come on.
Our French major over here is,
Not a major, but I did take it long enough because, all the girls dig French.
Sure.
But
Oui.
the Illusion Epernay Le Tarot.
Do they start going after you after you're in your 4th year of French or the 5th year?
Unfortunately, I never had the experience that I was promised and that they would go after me because I could speak French.
For
I
sure.
want my money back.
So my wife's Puerto Rican, so I really should have just done Spanish.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's the tale of how well that strategy worked out.
Indeed.
Well, the Illusione Epernay Le Trio is made with Ligero without Ligero tobacco. The strongest variety of tobacco leaf. It's made with Ligero tobacco, not without.
I didn't write this copy.
The strongest variety of tobacco leaf. It's blended for balance and elegance rather than strength, which I always find in this cigar. It's very well balanced. The cigar is designed to be lighter and sweeter than the original Illusiones. Gets its name from the town of Epernay in the heart of France, Champagne region.
Champagne.
Champagne, yeah.
Have some champagne.
That's right. The Illusion cigar brand is a brainchild of Dion Guillaume. I can't even say his name.
Yeah, he's not French.
Yeah, I don't know his name. Starts with a G. Just look that up, folks. A cigar retailer from Nevada who makes very few cigars, but they seem to be superb. His smokes made under contract have impressed us from the very beginning. The La Trio is one of the trio of the new box press sizes that were added to the line last August. It's chocolatey sweetness, plenty of rich nutty flavors, and complex, leathery aftertaste. Illusion cigars are the prototypical I don't even know how to read today. Boutique smoke. And this is the best showing ever for the brand. So, this cigar is one of my favorites. I smoke lots of them. I find that I have never picked up a bad one, and every one that I've picked up is consistent. So, if I'm standing in a humidor somewhere and I go, I don't know what I want to smoke, I'll typically reach and grab an Illusion Epernay because I know that it's a good experience and that I will enjoy my time with it.
So do you look at 10 things and then go, I haven't found anything, I'm getting the Illusion? Is that the order that you tend to go
Pretty
in
much.
your
Pretty
decisioning
much.
process?
Yeah.
I don't see anything new or interesting here. I'm just going to go back to my standard,
That's right.
Yeah.
This
Kinda
is
like
my
me in the-
go-to.
That's me in the beer aisle, it seems like, as of late.
It's me ordering food. I always go to some place that I've been 20 times and
Yep.
I look through the whole menu and then I go, I'll have the same thing I've had the other 20 times I've been here, and I'm just shaking my head going, just can't venture out that hard, man. But yeah. Anything else about the cigar itself? When you are smoking it that
I've had
catches your
consistent
attention?
burns, consistent flavor. It's really spicy in the front, and the more you smoke it, it mellows out. When you get about to the second third of that cigar, it's really complex in flavor, really earthy and kind of leathery, got a real good nose to it. And when you get down to the last part, it's just as complex as it was in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. Justin, what'd you think of this?
So the beginning started out amazing. Whiskey notes, oak, vanilla. And then the middle, it started to mellow. And in the end, it just went too hot, like a truck going down a hill with burning brakes.
Like a pepper bomb.
Yeah.
Find yourself a runaway truck ramp, eh?
Right. Exactly.
Jerry, what'd you think of the Illusione?
I would agree that it was consistent. I wondered, actually, as I was smoking it and then as read the copy again here from the marketing, that
Which I read poorly.
if it has anything to do with the box pressing, because I have noticed of all the cigars that I smoke, the even burn, the more consistent, flavor, maybe a little tighter draw. I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head because, it's pressed, but it smoked very well, consistent throughout. I did feel like I had climbed inside of a whiskey barrel as I was smoking it, which is never a bad thing. I mean,
Depends on the barrel.
this is true. I would not fit in a quarter barrel very well.
More like a vat, maybe?
Yes, a butt, if you will.
That's what I was thinking. I need a sherry butt fit my ass.
But no, I actually very much enjoyed it, and it is not something that I would have picked up on my own, so I appreciated the recommendation. I will definitely revisit in the future.
I have had multiple of their lines, and all of their lines, I just can't say nothing but good things about. I've never picked up a bad one. Knock on wood, because I'm sure it'll happen one day.
That's what I said, now that you said it.
I'll get a knot or I'll get something unrolling, but that'll be because of my cut. But,
Yeah, so this was something I had not had before. So it was really great, to try this for the first time. And I thought the way you described it was very spicy, as I lit it. But that quickly went away.
Yeah.
So I was just maybe, after I didn't have to wait all the way to the first ash, for the spice to go away. So
sure.
Relax as you're lighting it, as you get into it. The middle part, it was really delicate in my mouth, it was just, that was something I wouldn't expect. I almost felt like I was holding a cigarillo.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we had the Toro size was the one we had of this. Yeah. But quick, easy draw, very mild, in the middle, but still had some complex, flavor components around it as well. And that draw just kept on going through, the last third of it. It was that steady draw thing that I really enjoyed. It was a really great smoke, right up to the turn itself. So, it was definitely my favorite smoke of the day, for sure when I had it.
Nice.
And I think that leads into our smokes rating for the Illusione Epernay is going to be a 3. All right. So we always like to see if we have an interesting discussion about anything good in life that's worth discussing. So our topic today that I ran across, and I have a story of why I picked this, is extraneous body parts. So I was with a friend, and he had a family member that was not feeling well and went into the hospital for a series of tests, and they found out that their gallbladder was something that needed to be removed. I had another family member that went through a much more drama-filled experience, finding out their gallbladder had to be removed. But I got to thinking about it. I'm like, this is just like a cornerstone. When I think about a bunch of the things that healthcare companies, get their revenue off of, it's all the pieces of our body that don't really need. So, and I'm like, wow, why do we have all these extraneous body parts? So my lead-off question, first off, how many extraneous body parts can you name? Or how many do you think there are?
Probably dozens.
Dozens.
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff we don't need.
It really depends on your definition of extraneous.
This is also
can
true.
you live without it?
Can you live without it? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could live without your arms, your legs.
All right, so not like that.
Or like George Costanza's tail.
I'd say at least 7.
All right, so that's one guess, 7, and a couple dozen for Barger. How about it?
I'll say 10. Meet somewhere in the middle.
It's really close. I think there are 9 as, it's defined, but I have 7 here in front of me. Here's the list.
You monster.
Spleen.
It's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Yet if you lose your spleen, if you lose your spleen, you have to take medication for the rest of your life.
That's very true. Yes.
That's a
Stomach.
bummer.
I'm just telling you what's on this list.
Stomach
man.
is on this.
Reproductive organs.
Well,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Darwin
we could
Award?
use less kids in the world for sure.
Especially those children of Alabama. The colon, the gallbladder, the appendix, kidneys, which I thought was interesting to put on this
I couldn't
list.
live without my kidneys.
I guess maybe they mean one kidney since you have two.
Since you have 2, you're loaded. You're always packing a spare.
I would need to like permanently have dialysis.
I think that's a requirement for me because there is no way I can drink with both fists.
That's right.
If I don't have 2 kidneys.
That's right.
One for each hand.
Right. Correct. It's all about balance, and volume control.
What? I noticed wisdom teeth weren't on the list.
Wisdom teeth were not on that.
Tonsils also
And
not on the
tonsils
list.
are not on that list as well. But so you think about all these things that you either know a friend or a family member that has had some of the stuff, removed. And it's like, I had to, I started to try to figure out, well, how much money are we talking about to remove extraneous body parts? Google could not answer that for me, but it has to be like
You're on a list.
$30 billion or something. I mean, just has to be right through the roof,
I just want to know if they take out your appendix, how do doctors know where to look? Because don't they look in your appendix to find out where everything is?
Is that how it works?
The reference organ.
That's right. It's the reference organ.
Yeah. I see. Yeah, that was.
You have to use Google Maps.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
Lord.
right.
That was not
I-
good.
that took me way too long.
Dad
I
jokes.
agree.
Dad jokes for days.
Hang on a second here. I got a laugh track just for you, Barger.
Thanks, guys. I'm here all week. Tip your waitress.
Yep.
Seek the Holy Grail.
But I mean, when you look at some of the hospital bills, for these extraneous body parts, I mean, I was talking with my friend. I'm like, you're probably looking at $30,000, at least, to get this person's gallbladder removed. He was like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, way,
God forbid they activate the trauma team to do it.
yeah, that'll be $100,000, right off the
Nicaragua, it's
bat.
$800.
Yeah.
I bet we can do it cheaper in Mexico.
Right.
I got a table and a knife.
We can make this work. Just lay down here. Lay down.
Just hold still. This
Bite-
won't hurt much.
Bite on this piece of leather. Or this cigar. Bite on this cigar.
Yeah.
I will say, interestingly enough, how many of you still have your tonsils?
I do.
I do.
I do.
So I do as well, and almost everyone has them taken out to my knowledge, but I was doing some interesting reading that apparently a large percentage of cancer survivors still have their tonsils. So take that for what you will.
Cancer's going to get me. I have a long list of stuff that I'm going to go out with.
I don't
but
quite know how to take that.
I'm going to go out with a cigar and a whiskey in my cold, dead hands.
You and Dennis Leary both, huh?
Yeah, that's
right.
right. Yeah. Well, think about it. And because it would be interesting, drop some notes, back on our show. I'm really curious what you think, I mean, should you just have like all the extraneous body parts removed up front, when you're a kid, and just that way you don't really have to worry about it? It's like, look, we took out all the stuff you really don't need in life.
And don't forget to tell us how much you like the appendix joke.
Yeah, that too.
Can make really cool keychains out of it.
I think we
Right?
could solve this problem right here on this show with whiskey and cigars. Absolutely. We can solve the entire healthcare dilemma.
Sip, suds, and smokes.
Save us,
Solving the world's problems.
save the world like $32 billion, right off the bat. Just, yeah.
Mike HCA is here. If you say that too loud, they will send people after you.
Yeah, well, they live all around me.
Good thing
so-
we have a couple lawyers. At least we could fight for like a week.
He is so way off, isn't he? A week. you know, we're going to fight for years, man. You know, I need a good lawyer bill off this, you know, to make this happen for sure. Well, thanks for enjoying the topic worth discussing for us today. I have the next cigar we're going to go over, which is from my father, Le BiJou, 1922. Now, a lot of great sticks from Garcia and Garcia. I really
100%.
love the My Father series quite a bit. This particular cigar is definitely something I thought was worth reaching out and sharing with all of you, as well as our listeners. My Father, Le BiJou, 1922, is another great extension to the popular My Father line, French for the jewel. Le BiJou is a rich, full-bodied treat in tropical pepin form, featuring a Habano Ascuro wrapper and a healthy mix of Nicaraguan long fillers. The La BiJou exudes a robust array of flavors, delivered in a remarkably smooth fashion. I'm reading this almost as poorly as Barger did.
Hey, it's in the air tonight.
Complex, unique, and satisfying, the Garcia family's new star. The easy part of decording the wrapper is Habano, which means from the seed. So this may not be a common type of wrapper. The Ascuro tend to be the darkest of all the wrapper leaves because they are allowed to ferment the longest. The Ascuro wrapper leaves are typically taken from the top of the priming or the uppermost part of the tobacco plant. These leaves are vicariously called the corona, or the crown, or the medio tiempo, literally halftime, meaning they've been left on the plant 50% longer. Since these leaves have been exposed to a maximum amount of sunlight, they begin to cure on the plant. You end up with a darker, thicker, richer, and more flavorful leaf without exposing it to the Maduro fermentation. The Ascuro leaves then go through a normal fermentation process that's shorter time and at lower temperatures than the Maduro. And then after fermentation and before manufacturing, the Ascuro leaves are aged. So we'll pick up the rest of the discussion about the Ascuro wrapper after our break. And you can think about which extraneous body part
is 50% longer.
Maybe they should take this same process with some of the body parts.
That's right. This has been exposed to sun longer.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes, and the voices in my head.
Hi there.
Today is a smokes episode. We're going over a share and smoke episode where each of us has shared a cigar with each other, and we were going through those. I was going through the cigar that I was suggesting, which was from my father, Garcia and Garcia, Le BiJou, 1922. And I was talking a little bit about some of the choice of the wrapper and a little bit about some of the Ascuro process. So I really love, finding something that is slightly different. So I'm not really a diehard Maduro fan. I do smoke quite a few Maduros, but I would say on par, I really find a lot of the flavor presentation from the Maduros. I find it very difficult sometimes to find great pairing choices, and it bops me over the head. And so I find that the times that I'm choosing Maduros is when I'm not doing anything else. I've not had a meal or I'm not drinking anything else. And then because it's so flavor forward that the cigar itself is just kind of carrying me through that experience.
Just wait till you find a cigar that will put you to sleep.
Yeah. Ooh. That will be interesting.
Doesn't that have to be in Colorado or, well, I guess there's a few more states now.
So that's what I love about this particular cigar was, the Ascuros basically, they have a lot of flavor around it that's very interesting, but it doesn't club you over the head, with it. And that's one of the reasons why I liked this process so much. Let's see if there's anything here in the rest of the background for this. So the aging process for the wrappers is they leave them in barrels and crates. And during the aging process, they get actually even darker.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think they've spoiled. They actually turn totally black. And it's very difficult to distinguish between the Maduro leaves and the Ascuro leaves, once they kind of reach this stage. So unless they've labeled them well or somebody's actually paying attention, hopefully you don't grab the wrong bin. But
I bet you they do it off smell and texture.
Yeah, I would think that it would definitely have a different texture and feel to it. Yeah. For sure.
Like leather.
I agree. Yeah. So, really a fascinating listing. Some other notes here from the manufacturer. It takes a profound understanding of cigar tobaccos to create a smoke that conveys uncanny impressions of dark chocolate, covered raisins, savory leather, and sweet and salty finish that resonates on the finish. Is there any whipped cream on that?
Only on pina coladas.
So, listen, I picked up a variety pack of this by mistake. So none of us have had the same size of this. So, that may influence some of your experience around this. My tasting notes around this, so these cigars are aged 5 years. That was one of the things that I found kind of fascinating. And it smells like a ride in an old carriage. When I was smelling the foot, I was like, wow. Is there a horse, attached to this in some way? But it was all, like you walk into a tack room. It just had all that leather and wood. Funk. And, it just, I don't know. I felt like it was walking through a moment in history. I actually paired this with Glenfarclay 17 is what I had with this.
What'd you call me?
Excuse you. The first third, the wrapper really asserts itself, letting you know that, hey, you have a beast that's lit. It was very dark, and thick with flavor, right off the front. The middle of the draw was absolutely sublime. I thought it had a great steady burn, which was great, for me not to have to, worry about canoeing or, it's just great when you have a slow and steady burn. I actually like holding this stick in my mouth. I generally, puff and put things down and not, let a cigar kind of rest in my mouth, and I actually,
can you say that a little slower?
A little slower. Would you like that with lube this time, Barger? I like the stick in my mouth.
That's right.
I like the stick in my mouth. What's your girth, man?
Box pressed.
A lot of molasses and leather, and I really just thought it was super balanced in the middle. The final third, that deep flavor kind of faded, proceeding, into the band itself, and it actually turned a tad early for me. So, I had like 3 inches left on the cigar that I was enjoying here. So. But all in all, I love the storyline and I love the novelty, of this particular wrapper choice. Drew, what'd you think of this?
I did not actually enjoy it that much.
What?
Well, I tend to go for a little more lighter, a little more delicate. I will say that my initial thought when I looked at it was, oh God, it's a Maduro. I don't like Maduro, which is weird. I'm a barrel proof whiskey, strong black coffee made in a French press kind of guy. But
so do you think that preconception that you thought it was Maduro played into
quite
possibly how you enjoyed it? You were like, I am not going to enjoy this. This is a Maduro
Got
stick.
in your own head about it.
Quite possibly. That's never happened before where I psych myself in or out of a situation. But I will say that it was not as unpleasant as I expected. Just because
progress,
there was more going on than just getting hit over the head with a burning, ember of, hickory wood, which has been my experience with a lot of Maduros. But, kind of like little bunny foo-foo getting bopped in the head, as Mike mentioned here, which is what I'm going to start calling you from now on, by the way.
Oh man. I don't know if
it sounds hot.
One.
Tell me more.
I will say that as I got into the middle of the cigar, it cooled a bit on the palate, which was not ever been my experience with a Maduro. There was complexity there that I did not expect. I wouldn't call it a tack room. Having grown up on a horse farm, it reminded me of climbing inside of a cedar chest that had been stuffed with wool blankets.
And mothballs?
No mothballs.
Okay.
Thankfully, no mothballs.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let Barger chime in. Sounds like he has the contrarian view. What'd you think of it?
I absolutely love this cigar. I start to finish, I'll smoke multiple if I can, if I find them, if they're not sold out on stores. When this cigar was released, I believe it was 2015 when this cigar was released.
That sounds about right.
It became Cigar of the Year for 2015 from Cigar Aficionado, just right out of the gate. And it was delicious. And I've probably smoked dozens of these cigars, and I've never had an issue. Actually, a lot of the My Father stuff, I like a lot of the peppery, a lot of the full-bodied stuff. So, like, I remember, like, the Don Pepin Garcia Blue Label is one of my go-tos. That's another one if I'm in a humidor. And if I can't decide, I see the Blue Label. If they've got it, I'll grab one and smoke it. And it will be consistent and every time.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, I think that for what it's worth, My Father has a consistency that is unmatched in a lot of cigar manufacturers.
Cool. Justin, what do you think of the Le BiJou?
I thought it punched well above its weight.
Yeah.
If you would have put 5 cigars together and say these are $40 cigars, I would believe this was a $40 stick.
Interesting. Cool. Well, our smokes rating here for the My Father Le BiJou 1922 is going to be a 2. Well, hopefully you enjoyed our discussion so far. We have one more cigar to go here, and it's from Justin from Punch.
Okay. We have the Punch Gran Puro Nicaragua. The ancient Punch brand has now utilized everything that the San Agustin Valley of Honduras has to offer by creating a robust all-Honduran leaf cigar to tantalize your taste buds. But that's not all. This powerful recipe features a spicy Havana seed sun-grown wrapper along with the sun-grown binder. You guessed it, this puppy has some punch, no pun intended. Medium to full-bodied, the rich, peppery treat will definitely hold your attention for a good hour and a half. This chocolate brown Robusto burns perfectly and even draws well, delivering sweet and floral smoke with profound undertones of leather, dried fruit, and a hint of cinnamon. Unfortunately, this was the corporate note experience. My experience was different. Mine had a big scar on it, so I knew this cigar was going to try to be a badass. And it was inconsistent along with its poor construction, and even though I picked it, it was a rough go. But I have had this cigar before, and they were very good. So quality has gone off, or I got a bad one. What'd you think, Mike?
So I actually paired this with a Japanese whiskey, Yoshi 18, which is kind of really spicy, while lighting. It was the one thing I noticed up front. And I remember kind of going, I don't know if I've picked something really well to pair this with. When I was big, even draw, really mild flavor, right up front. At the first ash, I typically hit this big hint of spice, once again. And, that's a component of, removing the ash, and you're drawing a lot more air, into the cigar. So you're kind of used to that effect. This was probably a bit more pronounced than I was expecting. So in the middle, a few hints of the draw, kind of, cut in half. I was like, okay, who turned what off, in the middle of this? Nothing, a few gentle rolls, on the cigar couldn't solve, but, that's always something that from a construction perspective, it's like, I don't want to have to roll a cigar. And,
it's not your job.
Yeah. Could somebody have packed it, a little less? Still quite mild, in the middle of this. In the last third, the flavor got more full approaching the band, and wow, was there a turn. And it just took a nosedive right off, the edge of the planet. This was not my favorite stick.
Not at all.
There were just, I think it was a combination of just those construction elements that, I found kind of fit, that I was having to fidget with. And, I paired of, a very delicate whiskey with this, that it was just not working. I remember finishing the cigar and going, "Whew, man, I am glad that is over, because I will probably never have one of these again."
At least you
for
finished it.
Yeah. Barger, what do you think?
I absolutely did not like it, and I did not finish it. I really feel, and when I first started smoking cigars, I would grab a punch every now and then, and they would be okay. I really feel like they've overextended themselves with their lines, and I feel like that they're lacking quality now. And so it was the off the light, it was just smelled like turds. And and it burned wonky. I got about through my first third of it, and I put it down. It just didn't, it bland, very not, the flavor never changed. And I was like, well, why am I even wasting my time on this?
Yeah, this is the first time I've gone back to a punch product in quite some time.
Yeah.
I'll have to say it's probably been a good 8 or 9 years since, I've probably had a punch product. It was one of those things that I remember, you could find a punch product, widely available. And it was something that I remember having, periodically, but I just, it was something I just did not come back around to, at all. Drew, what'd you think?
I didn't hate it. I was able to finish mine, even though in the final third it burned very, very unevenly. Like, half the cigar was burning and half of it, didn't seem to be burning, even though I tried to roll and do just about everything I could to.
Anybody take a ramrod to it?
I did not.
No.
Didn't even worth it.
Didn't even get that far.
I did notice a green spot.
You call it a ramrod or a dagger or a stick, or there's it seems like I hear all those things described as different objects.
Draw poker.
Draw poker. No. Okay.
Cigar penis.
Okay. All right.
I did notice like a green spot on the wrapper around the band and below it, which I thought was a little odd. I'd not seen that before.
Very young leaf then.
The only thing that I could say that matched up with any of the tasting notes, provided by the marketing was I did get a lot of cinnamon, and not like cinnamon Ceylon, nice cinnamon stick, more like a Fireball cinnamon. And
oh, really?
Yeah, not in a good way.
That's strange.
Did you pair it with Fireball?
I did not. Jack Fire.
That's a good question.
Jack Fire was my pairing. No.
So our smokes rating here for the Punch Gran Puro is going to be a 1. I'd have to say, hearing all that's a stick none of us are going to go back to.
No.
A lot of head nodding going,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I used to love the punch after dinner cigar, but this
Now,
one
if they
wasn't
want to
good.
send us some free cigars for us to try, well, I'm more than welcome to try them.
Yeah, I am as well. And I don't think I'd be so cavalier as to, basically drop, everything off from the punchline and
That's right.
say, there's not something there. That particular product, definitely
Right.
didn't do it for us for sure. Any thoughts about the flight? Any cigar you would go back to for sure, other than the Illusione? I know you would, Barger. I'm just going to get ahead of that. Yeah. Any
I
cigars
love
you
the
go back?
BiJou.
Yeah, you go back to the Le BiJou.
I think that I might give the Rocky Patel Cameroon a second go. I don't know when that will be, but I think that maybe a couple months from now I might pick another one up just to try it.
If you could find it in Robusto, I recommend it.
Right.
Yeah, I would definitely go back to the Cameroon as well. It was an interesting flavor for sure. Well,
That's all, folks.
yep, that is it for today's episode. And I hope you enjoyed today's Smokes episode. Listen, if you're listening to us online, do yourself a favor and tap the subscribe button. That's the easiest way to listen to our show. And you can ask any of the voices in your head or on your phone. How many voices are in your head, Barger? I dare to ask.
I don't even know. There's millions.
Well, there's Siri, Alexa, Google, and Uncle Larry. Just say play podcast, Sips, Suds, and Smokes. We love your feedback, and you can reach us online by email info@sipsudsandsmokes.com is our email address. Our tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day. Our handle is @sipsudsandsmokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. You'll also be able to interact with the thousands of other fans on those social media platforms. Dave sucks. That's all you have to start every comment with. So
You'll be in.
do us a favor and take the time to rate this episode if you're listening to us online. That's a great big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. I look forward to the additional personal lube comments for sure. Well, I want to thank each of our guests for being here. Thank you, good old boy Barger.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Good old boy Justin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And good old boy Drew.
I'm just so pleased to be here.
Well, this is good old boy Mike saying, come back, join us for another exciting episode of Sip, Suds, and Smokes, and I'll ask you to keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sip, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the good old boys, will see you all next time.